So we start with how the last game ended, running after Pluto. Then it's night. Sora wakes up and takes a walk. This creepy dude turns up and says,
"Along the road ahead lies something you need. However, in order to claim it, you must lose something that is dear to you."
You see a kid's drawing of a castle, which turns out to be the creepy castle Sora finds. They all enter and say they all feel like Riku and Mickey are in here somewhere.
That's suspicious.
Then the creepy dude turns up again. They try to fight, but they realise the castle has taken away all their abilities and have to start again. Then the creepy dude says,
"In this place, to find is to lose, and to lose is to find. That is the way in Castle Oblivion."
He then gives him a card, and this guy Axel turns up to test Sora. Sora beats his ass, and he tells him to follow his memories to find someone special, and tells him he has lost the sight of the light within the darkness. He also warns him that he may not be the same person at the end of this. Jiminy gets a bit worried, but Sora is like, fuck it, we'll be fine. Goofy realises he's beginning to forget some details about Hollow Bastion, so Jiminy texts the journals, but they have been wiped clean. Everyone starts to get a bit worried. Meanwhile, Axel is talking with his comrade, Larxene, about his interest in Sora holding on to himself as a Heartless in the previous game. Sora is reminding himself of Kairi when some other girl pops up, and he's all like, you see the little girl in the room drawing pictures of them all as friends. Sora begins to remember her, but not her name. They realise this is what the creepy dude meant by the finding and losing riddles. Meanwhile, Axel and Larxene are discussing how the evil scheme is working. Larxene goes off to mess with Sora, and Axel tells her to be careful or it will ruin their secret plan to take over. She's like, I know, but shut the fuck up. Someone could hear you.
You would have been wise to have done the same, Larxene.
Sora meets Larxene and she mocks him for not remembering the girl's name, and that the bad guys have her hostage in the castle. She gives him a small beatdown and he drops a star charm he didn't know he had. Sora then remembers her name is
Namine.
Larxene threatens to smash the charm, which pisses Sora off, so he smacks her out of her hand, which pisses her off. Sora fights her and she manages to disappear. This causes Sora to go into a rage.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Which concerns the group. They calm him down and carry on. Axel mocks Larxene for losing, which he gets pissy about. Then Lucius Malfoy's older brother Vexen walks in and mocks her too. He then announces he has an experiment to take care of Sora. Sora rushes ahead of the others and bumps into Riku. Riku tells him that him and Namine don't want to see his ugly mug because he was at fault for her disappearance from the island. They have a scuffle and Riku runs off. Jiminy says it's probably Castle Oblivion messing with his head, and they decide to carry on to help him. Sora sees Riku again. Riku gives him another tongue lashing. They have another scuffle, and he runs off again. Sora is confused why they can't both help Namine together. The group then realise they are beginning to forget about Kairi. Meanwhile, Axel and Larxene are roasting Vexen for his failed experiment running around, which really pisses Vexen off. Then the creepy dude from earlier shows up and turns out to be a pretty boy named Marluxius.
Maybe she's born with it.
And also begins to take the piss out of Vexen, which annoys him even more, and he tries to pull rank, so Marluxius pulls his weapon and says, nah, defy me and you're a traitor. Tells him to prove himself by fighting Sora.
Finally a good reason to punch a teenager in the face! Let's roll!
Axel reminds him that Vexen is likely to try and kill Sora, so Marluxius reminds Namine about a promise Sora made to her. Jiminy asks Sora if they should turn back, and Sora tells them about promising to keep Namine safe, no matter what. Then Vexen appears, and informs him that he brought Riku here. Sora then fights Vexen, and Vexen creates a card from forgotten memories which he gives to Sora. Axel reminds Marluxius that it would be bad if Vexen took out Sora. Marluxius sends Axel to take care of him as a traitor, an order Axel takes to heart. Sora turns up to this old house, and Vexen also turns up. He asks Sora which feels more real to him, Naminé or this house. Sora chooses Naminé. He laughs and informs Sora that this place was formed solely from the other side of his memory. If he can't tell the difference, then he's a slave to twisted memories like Riku, and their existence is worthless. Sora beats his ass, and Vexen tells him if he continues to chase Naminé, he will lose his heart and become a puppet. Axel turns up and shoots him with a big old fireball before he says more. Axel tells him he's been sent to erase him. Vexen begs for his life, but Axel fire blasts him out of existence. Axel heads back and discovers that not only was Vexen a test of Sora's strength, but a test of his guts. He is fully accepted into the group plan to take over the organization. They tell Naminé to keep messing with Sora's memories, to bring him closer to her. Sora sees Riku again, and he asks why he is still acting so weird with Vexen gone. Riku reveals the promise he made to protect Naminé. Sora tells him that it was he who made that promise. They both show their charms, but Riku is sure it's fake, and Sora has to fight him again. He runs off again, leaving behind the charm, which turns into a card. Donald and Goofy express their concerns, and Sora's all like, "What? You don't believe me?" And they're like, "No, we just need to stop and think for a minute." And Sora's like, "Think? We don't have time for that shit," and pops off at them before running off. Meanwhile, Axel is alone with Naminé, and tells her she needs to go and help Sora. He won't stop her. Jiminy tries to say that he was being a bit harsh, and Sora's like,
Shut the fuck up.
Naminé meets Sora on the islands, where she tells him she's not really in his heart, and he needs to think. Who is really important to him? Sora goes to say Naminé, but the star charm turns back into Kairi's good luck charm.
You remember me?
He speaks to Naminé and figures out that Naminé isn't the most important person to him, and she confirms. She's about to tell him everything when Riku turns up to fight Sora. Riku manages to blast Sora down and was about to send him to the graveyard pile when Naminé orders him to stop. This causes Riku to become a lifeless husk. Larxene shows up and reveals that this Riku is a fake, filled with fake memories, and tells him how Naminé has been messing with his memories too. She reveals their plan to turn Sora into a puppet has been thwarted by Axel's betrayal, and goes to fight Sora. Naminé gets in the way, but Larxene bitch slaps her into next week, which really pisses Sora off. But he's too weak to fight. Then Donald and Goofy show up to help kick her ass. They defeat Larxene and she fades into nothing as she dies.
The way I won't allow.
Naminé explains herself, and she tells them she can fix the memories if they go to the 13th floor. Naminé is left to look after Riku. Sora, Donald and Goofy try to remember Kairi's name, but they fail. Someone comes to kidnap Naminé. Axel and Marluxius have a bit of a squabble over Axel's betrayal to the group and Marluxius's betrayal to the organization. Marluxius uses Naminé as a shield, and Axel says he would kill her to get to him, just as Sora walks in. So they have a fight, allowing Marluxius to escape. Axel reveals he is glad to have saved him, then disappeared. Sora then goes after Marluxius. Marluxius orders Naminé to erase Sora's memory. She says no, so he threatens to kill her. Riku overhears, and that really pisses him off. You all beat him down, but he tells you this version is a fake, so Riku smacks that imitation too. They find the real one, and he transforms into this ugly fucker. But you beat him up, and he's all like, Sora seals up the door. They ask the fake Riku what he's going to do, and he's like, I'll just deal. So Sora is like, Who gives a fuck if someone made you? Riku leaves. Namine says that although forgotten, the memories are not gone. The chain links are just disconnected. Sora is given a choice to forget what happened in the castle and gain all his memories back, or keep his new memories and lose the old ones. Sora chooses to get his old memories back, and Namine gets a bit hurt, but agrees. Sora promises to come find her afterwards, and that the memory will be inside him, even if the chain links are broken. Sora holds on to the memory of Kairi as the doors on his sleeping pod close. Meanwhile, Riku awakens somewhere between light and dark, while a booming voice tells him to sleep.
Turn from the light. Shut your eyes. Here, blanketed by the darkness, sleep is safety. Sleep is eternal.
Riku is presented with a card and given the choice to go back to sleep or awaken and confront the truth. Riku is like, sleeping is boring, and takes the card.
That was very well said, Riku.
He is transported to Castle Oblivion. He travels to Hollow Bastion, where he is reminded of how much of a dick he was in the last game.
And you are a horrible person!
He confronts Maleficent about his rejection of the darkness. The voice tells him that he needs the darkness as it is his weapon, and to accept it. Then he shows himself, and it's Ansem. Ansem wants him to serve him again. And Riku's like,
Suck my dick.
Riku tries to hit Ansem, and Ansem pats him down. Ansem tells Riku the darkness is his strength, and then Mickey's voice tells him he's not alone and gives him some light power. Riku uses his strength to fight Ansem, but Ansem uses this as an opportunity to go through his memories and give him a card he crafted from them, but tempers the darkness inside him before he leaves. Meanwhile, the organisation members for this game are meeting up. Zexion tells his comrades that he can smell 2 scents. One was Maleficent, and the other visitor took her down, and he smells very similar to the superior. Riku notices the darkness stench has seeped into his skin, and is disgusted at himself. Mickey's ghost form appears and asks that he does his best in fighting the darkness within him, and he'll help however he can. Meanwhile, Zexion realizes the swamp belongs to Riku. Vexen says the superior must have helped him escape into the castle, and that Sora is also in the castle, as Marluxius wants Sora for himself. Vexen shows a lot of interest in Riku and goes to see him. He tells him he knows Ansem, but not as he knows him, and that he walks in the twilight between light and dark. Riku tells him he stinks of shit and fights him. Vexen uses this fight to gain valuable information. Riku is like,
NANI?!
and backs off, allowing him to escape. Meanwhile, Lexius is telling Zexion about the other group messing with Sora's memories. This makes Zexion uneasy, and Lexius is extra concerned about Axel. But with Vexen's replica, it should be fine. Riku meets his double and calls him a fake. This pisses off Riku too, and says, "At least I'm not chicken shit." And Riku's like,
What did you say?
and Riku too points out that he's scared of the dark, and pulls out his dark powers to fight him. Riku beats him, and he's like, "I'll get you next time." And Riku says, "Let's make it now," and goes to hit him, but is dark blasted across the room. Then Riku too runs off. Vexen asks Riku too how it went, and he says he's spineless and will get him next time. So Vexen sends him after Sora. Riku bumps into Ansem, who tells him that Riku too is a model example of how he should be. Riku tries to fight him, but is repelled away. Ansem gives him another card and says he can't resist the darkness. Larxene tells Riku too that they are going to remake his heart so he is exactly like the real Riku. This disgusts Riku too, as Riku is a wimp that is scared of the dark. But they don't give him a choice in the matter, and after Larxene beats him down, she changes his heart. Next you see Larxene taunting Namine when Riku too walks in to tell her to pack it in, and that she doesn't want to see Sora. He promises to protect her from him and leaves. Larxene says to Namine if she does a good job, she can become more than just Kairi's shadow. Meanwhile, Vexen has been destroyed by Axel. Zexion finds this deplorable. But the Superior needs the Hero of Light, so Lexius sets his sights on Riku. Riku says he can smell that he's one of the nobodies. Lexius mocks him for his fear of the dark, and tells him to embrace it or lose both the light and the darkness and die. He smacks Riku into the ceiling, and it triggers Riku's dark form. And he kills Lexius. Riku's mind becomes overwhelmed with the darkness as a voice speaks to him. Riku can smell Ansem's stench, and Ansem tries to grab control of Riku when Mickey appears to save him and sends his mind back to the castle. Meanwhile, Axel tells Zexion that Larxene is also gone, and he wonders who will be next. He also tells him how Sora pummeled him and he thinks he's dead, and Marluxius is next in line for an ass-kicking. Zexion goes to see Riku and tells him Sora has killed Marluxius. Riku wants to go and see Sora, but Zexion asks him if he is not ashamed that Ansem is still inside him.
That's what she said?
He gives him a card to go back to the islands and show him how he opened the door to darkness and it consumed his home. He sees Sora, and Sora attacks him for what he's done and shoots him with light from the Keyblade. Sora calls him a creature of darkness and blasts him with light. Riku is losing himself to the light when Kairi turns up and tells him that neither the light nor the dark can defeat him. Both will make him stronger. Riku embraces his darkness and fights his way out. He beats Sora, who turns out to be Zexion. He asked him how he could see through the light, and Riku tells him he could smell his unwashed asshole. Zexion is like, I thought you were afraid of the dark. And Riku yells, not anymore, before cutting him down. Zexion escapes and is trying to regain strength when Axel turns up with Riku too. He says he could use Riku 2 to take down the real Riku, and then Riku 2 could be totally unique. Riku 2 takes Zexion's power, and Zexion fades into nothing. Meanwhile, Ansem tells Riku he can sense he has accepted the darkness into his heart. And begins to take control over him, when Mickey shows up to help him in the flesh. Riku collapses with relief to have a friend with him. Mickey shows him the card that appeared to him in the realm of darkness, which helped him find a way to Riku. Riku goes to a new town he doesn't remember, and Ansem shows up. Riku tells him he doesn't smell quite as bad as Ansem, and he reveals himself to be Diz. Diz tells him that he's been watching him, and how he too stands in the twilight. He tells him he must meet Namine and make a choice, then disappears. Riku turns up at the old house and bumps into Riku too, who's having an existential crisis and has decided to eliminate him so he could be the only Riku, so perhaps he'll feel like a real boy. Riku beats him, and Riku too has a very deep speech as he lays dying, while Riku tries to give him some kind of comfort.
What happens when a fake dies? One like me. Where will my heart go? Does it disappear? It'll go somewhere. Maybe to the same place as mine. A faithful replica until the very end. That's okay.
Riku goes to see Namine and finds Sora sleeping in his pod. Namine gives him a choice. She can lock up Ansem along with his memories of the darkness and make him as he was before, Or he can remain awake and continue walking his chosen path, but Ansem will be able to come back through him. He decides to stay awake so that he can give Sora an ear chewing when he wakes up for slacking off and not looking after Kairi. Riku leaves, and he and Mickey bump into Diz. Mickey feels like he knows him from somewhere. Diz gives them coats that will protect them from being consumed by the darkness and can hide their identity from the organization. He gives them a card so that they may face Ansem. He decides to go it alone, and Mickey says he will come and save him if it goes wrong. He faces Ansem, who asks him why he refuses his advances. Riku tells him it's because he fucking reeks, and he couldn't even beat Sora. Ansem goes into beast mode.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
But Riku messes him up, which really pisses him off. But Riku cuts him down and Ansem goes nuclear. Riku is injured laying in the darkness when Mickey shows up to carry him out again. Mickey tells Riku he's come to believe that there is some good in the darkness and decides to join him down the path between. They meet up with Diz looking cool as fuck, who asks them to choose between the path of light or darkness. Riku takes the middle road, and Diz asks,
"Do you mean the Twilight Road to Nightfall?"
Riku says,
No. It's the road to dawn.